Okay, so it is June 9. It's June 9th. And I got an email yesterday from the surrogate. Wait, what are they called? Case managers. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. If you watch this, if she watches this, she's going to be like, hello. No. So, anyway, case manager emailed me and said that the doctor that the intended parents are using reviewed my medical records and said that everything looked great, which, I mean, I'm not surprised. I haven't had any issues during pregnancy, really, so I'm not surprised that she didn't find anything wrong. So the next step in the process is setting up a match meeting and a pre-match meeting. So I don't remember doing a pre-match meeting when I did my surrogacy with this agency in the past. I might have, but it was, like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. It was a while ago. So I don't remember all the details. But anyway, so for the pre-match meeting, I'm going to talk to just the case manager, just the two of us, so we can, get to know each other a little better. She's going to answer questions that I have about the process if I have any questions. I mean, so far I still remember most of it, so I don't think I have any questions about the process, but things crop up when you're sitting and talking to the person. So she also said that I'll be able to ask her questions, about the intended parents, that, if I have anything specific that I don't want to ask them, I guess, which I really don't have a problem asking people questions about, their profile and stuff, but it's whatever. So she also said that I could ask questions about the match meeting itself. Not really sure what she had in mind when she said that, because the match meeting essentially is you get to know the intended parents and get a sense of if you like them, if you don't like them, if there's things that you just can't put up with. I met with intended parents during my first surrogate journey, and one of the couples that I met with, they wanted zero contact during the pregnancy. They didn't care. They didn't want to get to know me. They didn't want me to get to know them. They just wanted a baby, basically. And my personality, I don't really want that. I would like to be, have open communication with the family afterwards. I still talk to the intended parents. Well, I guess they're parents now. It's not intended. They have the kid from the surrogacy that I did in 2015. I still talk to them, and they're, international. And of course, my second journey I carried for my best friend, so clearly we still talk all the time. But I want to see what the kid's up to. First day of school pictures. I'm not going to be all over them all the time. I just would like updates here and there, and if they want me around more, great. If not, that's fine too. I don't mind getting pictures and stuff and text messages every now and then. But so anyway, match meetings are important. You get to know the people, you get a sense of who they are and what they're wanting, and it's just a good first step, I guess you could say. So she also said that we were going to review the agenda of the match meeting. I'm guessing she has, bullet points of things that have to be talked about during the meeting. So we'll go over those. And she said that, the pre-match meeting the pre-match meeting will, give me an opportunity to think of questions that I have for the parents, topics I want to talk about, it'll just give me time to think. And she'll probably give me some questions like, hey, do you want to know this? Or, is this important to you? Or what have you. So I think I still have the list of questions that I used during my first surrogate journey. So I might just use those. And if I think of anything, I will add it to the list. Every couple is different, so maybe some questions that I had in the past, I don't really care about now, or There's specific things in their profile that flagged my attention. I'll be like, hey, what about this? What do you guys, enjoy doing? There's like a hobby that you want to know more about, or, oh, you're into woodworking. Well, what kind of things have you made? I mean, none of that's really important. I mean, you want to have a rapport with them. So, I mean, it makes sense on the one hand, but if they're into woodworking, great. That really doesn't sway my decision to carry their baby one way or another, So, yeah, that is the next step in the process where I'm at right now. So I need to email her back and give her a time to set up the meeting, and then we will go from there. I also need to get my questions figured out, because I think she said she had availability tomorrow to meet, so I need to get some research done, and if I have any questions about the intended parents that I want to ask her before I talk to them. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna stop now. Okay, so I wrote down a few questions, just general things. I'm gonna have to read their profile again and come up with more specific questions to them. Do they want to come with me to doctor's appointments and ultrasounds? Obviously, do they want to be in the delivery room? That's really important. I've had both of the sets of intended parents come with me during delivery because it's the birth of their child, I don't have a problem with that. They can look if they want to, but ew. If you've ever had kids or watched a YouTube video or whatever of like the nitty-gritty, what happens, like all the graphic details of it, it's not a pretty sight. when I was delivering one of the many babies that I've had, the nurse was like, do you want me to get a mirror? Do you want to see? And I'm like, ew, no. No, thank you. I do not. So anyway, yeah, delivery room, I don't have any problem with them being in there. In fact, I prefer it, just so they don't have regrets later, like, oh, I should have been there. And a lot of times, actually both surrogacies that I did, the moms were, standing like right next to me when I delivered, and the doctor basically like took the baby and handed the baby directly to her, so the baby didn't even come to me when it first came out. So that's another reason to have the parents in the delivery room. I never actually did maternity photos, like, ever, which I'm kind of bummed about, because it's just part of your memories and stuff. And I took maternity pictures while I was in labor with my son because it was very spontaneous. I went into labor with him when we were out of town, and on the way back, my ex-husband was like, oh, hey, let's stop here and take pictures. It's like, okay. So we stopped and got some, they weren't great. A lot of them were out of focus because it was one of his friends that took them, and he wasn't good with the camera. So I don't know how most intended parents feel about doing maternity pictures with the surrogate. I've seen some really cute ones though, so I personally would like to do some. It's not a It's not a deal breaker by any means, but it would be fun because I've never done it. So yeah, that's what I got. Oh, it's raining a little bit. My glasses are so wet. I'm a little wet, if you can't tell. So I just finished talking to my potential case manager. So it all depends on how well the match meeting goes that I have coming up. She said potentially it could be next week. She said that my schedule or my availability and the intended parents' availability is pretty much the same. So it should be pretty easy to schedule a meeting with them. We basically talked today. Sorry. It's a little wet. My nose is all wet. My face is all wet. Anyway, we basically sat down and, got to know each other a little bit. She asked me some questions, how I felt. She basically went over what we're going to talk about during the match meeting and if I'm comfortable with the questions and if I wanted her to ask the questions. I mean, there aren't any that I'm really uncomfortable asking, so I'll just ask them if she doesn't bring them up. Yeah, just every question you can think of, really. There's a lot of questions. How were my pregnancies? All the intake forms that I've done thus far, the intended parents really don't get, I don't think they get them. Otherwise, why would they be asking me again? It doesn't really matter. I don't mind talking about it at all, but basically, how was my pregnancy? Did I have morning sickness? Were there other, issues that were uncomfortable and I didn't like about pregnancy? How's my diet? What do I eat? What does a normal day look like for me? Just questions. And of course, there's always the difficult ones about like termination, and which is really sad, but it's a topic that you have to bring up, because if it comes down to it, while the surrogate is pregnant already, it is really hard if there are conflicting beliefs and desires when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it's important to have those conversations ahead of time. So yeah, we should be looking at a match meeting coming up here in the next week or two. She said that moving forward, if the match is made, then transfer the embryo would probably be in 3 to 5 months after the match is confirmed. It sounds like dating. Match.com. That's not what this is. Oh my goodness. So anyway, if both parties like each other, if I like them and they like me, then we're considered matched, and we move forward with contracts and medical screenings where they actually physically screen me and look at my uterus and all the various things that it takes. She was saying that they want to do that simultaneously. So we'll be working on the contracts as well as I'll do, medical screenings and stuff at the same time to kind of speed the process along. Because, who wants to wait for their baby? They want it now. They wanted it yesterday, So the sooner we can get things done, the better, which I am so about. Like, I would love to get this process going quickly, because surrogacy is hurry up and wait when it comes to screening. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to do, and then you just kind of sit there and twiddle your thumbs for a while. I'm really, really excited. And the case manager seems to really like the intended parents, and I think that she thinks that we'll be a good fit. So I'm excited to see if she's right. We went over some of the things we're going to discuss during the match meeting, which I made a list. And everything she talked about, I had written down already. So, I've done this before. Can you tell? I figured since I can't really give you specific details about the intended parents, and their answers, and I have to ask them before I can tell you guys anything. So one of the questions that I have for them is about vlogging and if they're okay with it and what specifics I can share with you guys, if any. I know from the pre-match meeting, the case coordinator said that they didn't want pictures of the potential baby on social media, which I understand. My best friend's the same way. She doesn't have pictures of her kids on social media anywhere either. So I totally get that and I can respect that. But for my own journaling and for educational purposes, I would like to vlog the experience, and hopefully you guys enjoy it and maybe learn something about surrogacy and what it's like to carry a baby for somebody else. I'm really hoping that they're going to be okay with it, and we'll see. So since I can't give you any specific details, I just realized that this is so crooked. Hold on. Wait, no, I'm crooked. Oh no. Wait, hold on. Wait. Yes. Hey, there we go. Okay. Now we're good. Okay. So again, since I can't give you any of their, specific details, I figure I would go through the list of things that I want to ask them before I get into that. I have scheduled the match meeting. It's going to be next Thursday. So, by the time you guys see this video, will have already happened and it doesn't really matter. So anyway, some of the questions that I have they're fluffy questions. They don't matter one way or another, the answer, whether or not I would carry their baby. It's like, oh, what's your favorite color? Not important. It really isn't. What's your favorite, genre of music? Not important. It's just a fluffy question that helps me get to know them a little bit better and see how our personalities jive, I guess. I have some questions like, how long have you lived in Oregon? Do you plan on moving soon? What kind of games do you like to play? In their profile, they said something about playing games with their nieces and nephews. So if you guys are new here and didn't know this, I make gaming videos of me playing The Sims 4. So if you like Sims 4, you should, go and check those out. If you've been here for a bit, you know that I play video games. Well, I play Sims. It's my favorite, but I do play other games, on the Switch and stuff. So when they mentioned something about playing video games with nieces and nephews, I'm like, oh, what do you play? Again, fluffy question. Like, it doesn't make any difference whether or not I would carry their baby based on the answer, but I'm just curious. So some more surrogacy specific questions that I have are, what kind of relationship do they want to have during pregnancy and after the pregnancy, really? I'm still in contact with both of my other surrogate babies' parents. So that is something that's important to me. I would like not to get invited to Christmas dinner, although, my best friend, I have been there for Thanksgiving, but I would like to get updates every once in a while on how the kid's doing, pictures that they've drawn, or their favorite sports, or how they're doing in school, what boys, I just want to stay in the loop. Obviously it's not my kid. I don't want to parent the child, but I would just like to know how things are going and how their life is. That, I think, would be a deal breaker for me. I definitely want to keep in contact. Another question that I have is, what do their family and friends think about them with doing a surrogacy? So I know there are certain cultures, there are certain religions that are very against surrogacy, but it would be very hard for them to have a surrogate and to have a baby via surrogacy if their family and friends are not supportive of that. And that would be, I think that would make it really hard on them and on me. And even if I never met them, I would still feel bad for them if they didn't have supportive people in their life. And then how many IVF attempts are they willing to go through? As far as I know, the agency I'm working with wants the intended parents and the surrogate to try at least 3 times. If there's a failure, you know, with the first embryo or something happens or whatnot, they want to be able to try 3 times before giving up, I guess, on the surrogate, and which sounds bad, but sometimes the how many cycles they're willing to do before terminating our match. So the agency asked me this, and I was curious to hear what the intended parents' views of it are. Sometimes embryos split and turn into identical twins. So I'm curious to know what they would think if it turned into twins. I am willing to carry twins. The last 2 surrogacies I did, they intended to transfer 2 embryos. The first surrogacy that I did, the parents only had 2 embryos and they wanted to put them both in, which is a bit risky, but no risk, no reward, I guess. But their embryos were not the best quality, and so one of them did not survive when they thawed. I mean, it might have died when they were frozen, because fun fact, a lot of surrogacy is done with frozen embryos. You can actually freeze babies, like when they're microscopic, you can freeze them, thaw them, and then put them into the person that's going to carry it and grow the baby, if you did not know that. There's actually embryos that have been frozen for decades that they have thawed and gotten a baby out of, which is just like, I can't believe it. Science is so incredible. So anyway, twins, yes or no? And then the tough questions, selective reduction, if it turns into triplets or quadruplets, something crazy, would they want to get rid of one of them to make it so the rest of the babies have a higher chance of survival? I feel like this question is very important, but I am curious to know how involved they want to be during the pregnancy, going to appointments, going to ultrasounds, being there for the delivery. I've had babies. I know the drill. I know what to expect. I know when to expect it. But for these people, honestly, I don't know how far they've gotten in their pregnancies that they've had in the past, even though they didn't make it to term. She could have been pregnant for months. I don't know. So I don't know how much they've actually experienced when it comes to pregnancy. And in my opinion, this is important. If they want to be there, they should be there. Absolutely. And it's definitely something that they don't want to regret later down the road. Years from now, it's like, oh, I should have been there for that ultrasound, or oh, I should have been there for that doctor's appointment, or the first time we hear the heartbeat, or what have you. I'm totally fine if they're there for all the nitty gritty. The fun stuff, the not so fun stuff, it's fine. I am willing to have them there for that. And definitely they should be there for the delivery. I feel like that's very important. I mean, not to me, but I know that they might regret it down the road if they're not there for the birth of their child. So definitely, I would like to know their thoughts on how involved they want to be. Some intended parents like to have pumped breast milk for their babies, which I am willing to do. If they don't want it, I end up pumping and donating to a milk bank in California. Probably said that in one of my previous videos, but I donated to this milk bank in California with my last surrogate baby. I pumped for, I want to say, close to 18 months, maybe a little bit more. And at the end, the milk bank sent me a diploma type certificate thing saying like, congratulations, you pumped this many ounces. 20,000 ounces. 20,000 ounces. That's insane. Hold on. I need to look up something. Oh, Google. So I just looked up. I was really curious because I told somebody this the other day and I was like, I wonder how many gallons that is. 156 gallons of breast milk. I feel like I've looked this up before because I was curious, and it's a weird thing to be curious about, but I was curious and I want to know. 156 gallons of breast milk I pumped. I feel like I should insert like a mooing cow. Moo. That's how it felt sometimes when I was pumping. I'm like, wow, I feel like a cow right now. That's insane. 156 gallons of milk I pumped for this milk bank. And this milk bank is one that takes the milk, fortifies it, and they give it to preemie babies. So they get like huge amount of nutrients in like a little bit of breast milk. So that way they get, you know, more when their stomachs are like this big. It's crazy. That's so much milk. I still can't get over that. That's so funny. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So yeah, if they want breast milk, I am more than happy to pump and give them breast milk. If not, I will donate it to the same milk bank, and I might make videos about that too. Not the actual pumping part. Don't get all nasty. It's a very interesting process. Like you have to freeze it and then package it into like big cardboard boxes that have coolers inside with like ice blocks, and then it gets shipped FedEx to California. Anyway, I'll do videos on it later. Subscribe. You don't want to miss those videos. a little plug there. Anyway, any special requests that they would like, you know, within reason, I'm willing to do some things. Like I said, probably in one of my previous videos, my second surrogacy that I did, the intended parents asked me not to eat a certain list of foods that they were allergic to because the mother went to her allergist, and her allergist told her that if somebody else was carrying the baby, that it was likely that the baby wouldn't have the allergies if the surrogate didn't eat those things. So I couldn't eat things like bananas and blackberries and bell peppers and avocados, and I feel like there's a few other things that I'm forgetting. But anyway, I didn't eat those things throughout the pregnancy, and the baby, well, she's several years old now and she has no allergies. So there might be some truth in what her allergist was saying. So if there's any special requests, I will consider them based on how extreme they are, I guess. Anyway, those are the questions that I have, and I'm sure that there's questions that they're gonna come up with and ask me. So I will try to keep track of the questions, and I'll let you know my answers of what I said to their questions, so you get an idea of how it goes, the vibe. Anyway, it's getting late. I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe. Again, little plug-in. Yeah, stay tuned. Subscribe so you can continue seeing these videos and follow along on my journey. Bye, guys.